Hey guys, Rob and Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 Apostrophe, with another something weird, just a thought. I think it's episode number 35. And today I thought I would do something not so tasking. Just a quick look at the unofficial zombie franchise. This is, now look, you can play with this all day long. You can add in movies, take out movies, whatever you want. But I think what I want to put forward is what I accept is the loosely connected franchise that is the zombie franchise. I'm going to do it in a way I hope you find interesting. Hopefully this won't be anywhere near as long as my last video, which was 40-something minutes. Anyways, real quick, if you did see the last video, then you know on the February 14th, our Valentine show for the Graveyard Shift podcast is looking at Bride of Reanimator, Brian using a film. It just seems like a perfect Valentine's Day show. I don't know. Just seems like it's perfect. And then we plan on recording on the 21st our next collaboration video, body bag style, a top 5 roundtable discussion of our physical media imports, things that we have treasure that we have bought outside of our own country. I need to start looking at that today, actually. So anyways, zombie. So what's that all about? Well, let me give you a little bit of my history first. So, some of my history with Lucio Fulci, goes back to the early radio spots. You know, I was born in 70, so by 80, you know, you're hearing radio spots on, because that's all we did is listen to the radio. I wasn't glued to a TV. I watched TV, but I wasn't like glued to it. I was probably had the radio on more than anything. And so a lot of my spots came from the radio. They were radio spots, which is why I treasure any physical media release that would give you like the radio spots, say. So like City of the Living Dead, Fulci's, or Gates of Hell as it was being advertised here in the US, via the drive-in circuit. So, you know, my first early experiences, if it's not the video store renting it on VHS, is hearing the radio spot. Now, chances are pretty good I wasn't able to, I went to the drive-in a lot. I don't know, I was only 10, so, I mean, chances are high that my parents would have seen the TV spot or whatever, and they would have been like, nah, we don't want to go see that. It seems like it's a little too much for us. We did go see horror movies a lot at drive-ins, but, you know, your Carpenter flicks, you know, just, I mean, mainstream horror. So, I mean, I was brought up in a house that valued the genre for sure. But with Fangoria, Gore Zone, and all of that, I sort of gravitated to the nastier side of things. You know, I discovered Argento, I discovered Fulci, discovered, you know, Matai, and, you know, all these guys, and Hell of the Living Dead was a favorite VHS rental of mine. You know, so I would go into the video store, and what I do remember is, at least in the one store that I used to go into a lot, is in the horror section, the very last movie was always usually zombie, and it was usually zombie something. Didn't necessarily have to be the classic zombie. Could have been Zombie 5, Killing Birds, could have been whatever. But I always remember, and it's so funny, like the way I have my collection set up here, say, by distribution company, alphabetical order within. So like in my Blue Underground, the last movie literally is zombie, which just warms my heart because it brings back memories, right? It just seems like it's just a little loud. So it brings back memories. But with something like Dawn of the Dead, and I'll explain why I include that. You know, I remember we rented it out, or not rented, but I'm sure it could have. But we taped it off of something, HBO probably. And I remember it was on the VHS tape that also had the 1985 Super Bowl, where the Bears beat the Patriots, you know, I don't know, 50-something to whatever. So it was on that videotape. I used to watch that all the time. And so, you know, I was aware of the zombie films, okay? And so probably in terms of loosely connected, unofficial franchises, I would dare say zombie probably is my favorite. of all. So what I want to do is just cycle through sort of unofficially, but my official zombie list, and then reorganize them real quick and just give you my quick ranking. So anyways, gotta love Rue Morgan. I am a huge fan of that movie. Something about the voodoo, the island horror, I don't know, all the gore. Did see Zombie on the big screen. That was insane. So anyways, real quick. Back in 70 and the years leading up to 78, most know the story. George A. Romero was starting to scheme up ideas of what, how do you possibly make a movie after Night of the Living Dead, in terms of a follow-up, right? And then, somehow I can't remember how, but there's a connection between him and Argento, invites him out to Rome, pays for him to write up the script. At that point, he had already made a connection. His buddy who had given him a tour of what was the Monroe Mall. And so, he started to scheme up ideas like, what does this look like? What does this look like? And so he goes out to Rome, Italy, and so they had the deal, right? Argento says, make the movie, I'll help pay, but let me edit my own cut for European distribution. And yeah, I mean, hey, you're getting money, right? And so, I'll open it up, but the initial Anchor Bay DVD release of Dawn of the Dead has got to be one of the greatest single releases ever, in terms of all the versions of the films and whatnot. And that's what I got up there right now is the European cut. I figured that was most appropriate because we'll lead off with that. From 1978, Zombie, as it is marketed in Europe, a George A. Romero film. Dawn of the Dead. This is the second sight 4K release. Absolutely stunning. So freaking beautiful. I mean, look at this junk, man. Look at this. Look at this, man. All the cuts of the films. Supplemental disc. You got the European cut, the director's cut, the long cut, all the cuts. It's everything's in there, man. So this gets released as Zombie, aka Dawn of the Dead, for the rest of us, tucked right between another great, maybe one of the best, if you just keep it off by itself, trilogies, right? Between Night and Day is Dawn. One of the greatest zombie movies ever. So you got that. So it begins with Romero's Dawn, aka Zombie. Then, unbeknownst to Argento and how all of this would just, the Italians, man, you gotta love how they do things. Lucio Fulci comes along with producer Fabrizio De Angelis, I think that's how I say it, Angelis. And so, this is a weird time for Fulci. And he's just suffered losses in his family, and and for Sacchetti too, who wrote, him and his wife Brigante wrote what ultimately ends up being Zombie 2, released in Europe. And so in 79, Lucio Fulci's Zombie is marketed as Zombie 2. Begins this long trek of this unofficial but awesome, loosely connected franchise. Now, if you haven't seen, and I'm sure you have, insult anyone, the Blue Underground release is absolutely lights out, fantastic. Look at this junk, man. Look at all this junk. Just absolutely fantastic. A couple discs in here. You got the score in here. You got this incredible book in here. That's a pretty cool picture, man, right? Yeah, see, now you're making me take everything out. Look, got all the discs. Ulterior, it's the bridge cover scene on the for the Ulterior work. And then you got this beautiful, beautiful book. Only a horror fan could say it's beautiful. Look at this. That has got to be one of the greatest scenes in the movie. I love that. Just love it. I haven't seen this in a while. I really need to revisit it. There's something cool about Van Gogh Zombie. So you got this great book, man, and just a lot of fully loaded, just the discs and everything, just fully loaded. There's maybe the highlight here is the and I should have, I guess, done the same thing with Dawn, right? This is the 40th anniversary Blue Underground 4K restoration. So it's not the 4K, not like my Dawn is over here. Troy Howarth leads off the audio commentary. There's so much in here, man. I'm just gonna say there's one thing in here in particular. Well, you got Guillermo del Toro's intro to the movie, which is just phenomenal as well. Yeah, a lot. You just got tons of docs on here. I'm just looking for one that just stood out to me. I mean, Flesh Eaters on film is pretty cool. And they're all really cool, man. But the Blue Underground is out of this world. Oh, that's what I was looking for. When the Earth Spits Out Its Dead, Stephen Thrower. Interview with Stephen Thrower. That's freaking good. Yeah, so Zombie, 1979. Lucio Fulci. And then there's a really, really, really long hiatus. Fabrizio De Angelis should have jumped on this. Very Fulci. And just said, let's make another one, man. That was insane. So no, what does he do? What does he do? He grabs someone else and they make Zombie Holocaust, I think it was. And so, but that left Lucio ultimately to fall into the Gates of Hell trilogy, which I consider the greatest loosely connected, or Fulci's Lovecraft trilogy, the Gates of Hell trilogy. You know, City of the Living Dead, aka Gates of Hell, House by the Cemetery, The Beyond, perhaps his masterpiece. You know, it allows Fulci and his incredible cast of characters to fall into that run of filmmaking, which is insane. But there is quite a, and I should also mention too, real quick before we go away, in the UK this was released as Zombie Flesh Eaters. So Zombie 2, but in the UK, Zombie Flesh Eaters, because this is Lucio's first movie. It's the first zombie, really the first zombie movie. So Zombie Flesh Eaters, right? But in '88, Lucio Fulci will be brought back on to do what in effect would be Zombie 3. Now, by the way, I spell zombie the way you see it in the one trailer for Zombie, Z-O-N-B. I do it for all of it. I don't care, man. That's my zombie, man. Zombie 3, really Lucio Fulci's name is on it, but he gets really sick, so Fergasso and Matai come on. And do this in a really nifty little movie here. 88 released this, of course, Zombie Flesh Eaters 2. And you know, now we're getting a little bit not so extravagant with the extras and whatnot, but still, I mean, this is the backside. This is you know, since you may not be as familiar with this one as you are with the other ones, the late great Lucio Fulci, with uncredited Bruno Mattei returning to his Living Dead roots for Zombie 3, the long-awaited sequel to Zombie Flesh Eaters. However, just as Zombie 2 is inspired by Dawn, okay, a classic carnage-ridden splatter caper in its own right, Zombie Flesh Eaters 2 is ripe for reprisal and it arrives on Blu-ray. And really not that I thought it was going to have the synopsis of the movie, but I think it's a chemical gets loose, starts turning people into zombies, and it's got great. I think that's the one. Yeah, this is the one that has the flying head out of the fridge sequence, which is just awesome. I think that's on the bottom. Maybe that's the scene right there. But anyways, pretty cool. Zombie 3. So 88, Zombie 3, Zombie Flesh Eaters 2. And then 89, a year later, man, Claudio Fragasso sort of brings zombie back home to its roots in terms of island horror and some voodoo. And that is, of course, Zombie 4. And the first one, I think that actually has a real name after the title, Afterlife. Again, this is my 88 release. Good stuff here, man. Yeah, I always leave the plastic on the slips. I don't know. Just what I do. Look at that beauty. Look at that beautiful, beautiful thing. This one does have a little book that came with it, and which is actually really nice. So this is a Fragasso film. And this one, again, takes Zombie back to its roots a little bit, with just the voodoo aspect and the island and everything. It's just a beautiful slip, man. Some good stuff right there, man. And then, so Zombie Flesh Eaters 3, 89. And then, again, back up a year in 88, Zombie 5, Killing Birds, a.k.a. Zombie Flesh Eaters 4. Claudio Lattanzi, also with help from maybe Joe D'Amato, who was cinematographer, who, I don't know, it's the Hooper Spielberg, it's the Howard Hawks and Christian Nyby thing from another world. It's you know, who really directed it. When you sit there, there's a great, by the way, Vinegar Syndrome did an absolutely fantastic release lately of Zombie 5, Killing Birds or Raptors, which I think is the alternative name. Yeah, you can see the alternative artwork in here, which is pretty cool, actually. I remember seeing this on VHS on the video shop, pretty sure. And so God, I dig the artwork, man. I just always dig the artwork for some reason. But Vinegar Syndrome did a really good job, and the standout on here is the commentary with Sam Dagan, film historian, author. I'm telling you, you're not gonna get a better treasure trove of just Italian knowledge of the film industry in Italy. Now, she also has a commentary on my Cauldron release of City of the Living Dead. I haven't listened to that yet, but I would imagine if it's anything like this. And she also has one for, I want to say it's either Cannibal Apocalypse or something else. There's another one. It's one of those she does. Anyways, she is fan freaking tastic. And then, but when you see the interview with director Claudio Lattanzi, talents, yeah, you kind of get the idea that much of this movie's his, and yet we still have a conversation about who directed it. So I don't know, but I'm very thankful, and that, you know, really does wrap up the loosely knitted zombie unofficial, you call it official if you want, unofficial, you know, it's, yeah, there's other movies you can tuck in, you can, you know, blah blah, what, like Absurd, Anthropophagus, whatever, I don't know, things like that. So let me just reorder these real quick, and then we'll just do our ranking real quick. Let's see here. I think I'm doing this right. Yeah. All right. So, quick ranking. We're at 18. We may make it under 20 if we do this quick. All right. So, this is tough, man, because the top two, you know, the top two. Zombie just edges out Dawn by a hair, a strand of hair, and I think it's just the island horror, it's the voodoo aspect, it's just that, God, it's just that eye candy, that gore, that zombie, that old EC Comics zombie. So number one, Lucio Fulci's Zombie, I don't know what Zombie is, Zombie. Second, of course, you got to go with George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. In its own right, arguably one of the greatest zombie films ever made, ever. And then it's really, you know, it's not that big. I mean, Zombie 4 is number 3 on my list. I just love, again, just going back to the voodoo stuff, the island, the voodoo priest in here is so awesome. I just love that. I just love so much. I really do love these movies, man. I really do love these movies. So number 4 would be Zombie 3. Again, not a bad movie. It's got some fun moments in it, man. Especially when the zombies are coming up out of the water in the one scene, the head out of the fridge. It's got some fun moments, man. Definitely some fun moments. And Killing Birds, number 5. But I'll say, it's like Lonnie did the Evil Dead franchise the other day, and it's such a solid franchise, and that's obviously more of a solid franchise. But in terms of a loosely connected franchise, this zombie franchise, as I present it to you, it's pretty solid in terms of, obviously, Zombie Dawn head to head, and then there's a significant drop, and then the other movies are pretty tight, unless for one reason one stands way up above the others. And I say for me, the bottom three do not really, there's not much separation at all. They're all very enjoyable films. I can pretty much put them on anytime I want. I think what makes the Vinegar Syndrome release of Zombie 5 Killing Birds special is Sam Dagan's commentary track. And the transfer looks absolutely huge upgrade for my, I think, Shriek show. I have a DVD of it. And so I have to thank my daughter too, who a few years back actually got that for me for my birthday, I think, which I finally had, the whole franchise once. And again, we say franchise, but, we're talking about something that's very loosely connected. But in terms of title, be it the UK title, although the UK title doesn't include Dawn, you have to just run with the Zombie 2, Zombie 3, Zombie, 4, After Death, Killing Birds, or Raptors, whatever you choose. So for me, it is a fun, and probably easily, because there's not many of them, right? It is, well, I probably should do the other side there. It is my favorite loosely connected franchise of all time, and these are pretty freaking good releases. You can't argue with these. Are Blue Underground, the Second Sight, 4K, the 88 releases, and the Vinegar Syndrome of Zombie 5 is just out of this world. So, and that's why we do this, right? That's why we collect. That's why we put things, and we have our loves, our niches, and zombie is one of my niches. It's one of the things I just love. I just love it. So next one, it'll probably be back to label, probably tackle my Blue Underground collection. That won't take near as long as my 4K did. So anyways, to all those who endured the 40-some minutes of that, thank you, appreciate it. And let's see, we're heading up on 23. So as always, thank you for watching. Thank you. So appreciative. As always, go Bills. And Super Bowl tonight. We'll see.
This is not a dream. We might be useful to you.